Quitting smoking can be extremely challenging, requiring tremendous mental fortitude and commitment to change entrenched habits. The ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers powerful perspectives that can support building the strength of character needed to overcome addiction and cultivate a healthier lifestyle. By integrating Stoic practices like focusing on virtues such as wisdom, temperance, and self-discipline, we can develop a mental framework that sustains motivation and perseverance through trying times. In the videos ahead, we'll explore how applying timeless Stoic teachings of resilience and self-mastery enables us to quit smoking once and for all. When we align our efforts with excellence of mind and body, remarkable transformation becomes possible. Today, I want to have an open and honest conversation about how deliberately cultivating virtue can fully empower our journey to quit smoking and overcome addiction. I picked up a regular cigarette habit years ago as an unhealthy coping mechanism to deal with stress and difficult emotions. But immersing myself in Stoic wisdom has shown me a far better path forward based on summoning courage, self-mastery, and unlocking inner reserves of strength. The Stoic philosophers considered developing moral excellence of character to be life's supreme goal and purpose, not seeking fleeting pleasures that ultimately harm us. Harnessing this profound motivation to live a life of meaning has been the single most powerful force for me in overcoming addiction and creating lasting change. Here are 10 specific ways I've applied Stoic principles to take back control and remain smoke-free one day at a time. I started by identifying the core virtues I wanted to actively strengthen throughout this process. Qualities like courage, self-control, moderation, transcendence. Defining a higher noble purpose and intention focused my resolve. Now, when powerful cravings arise, I take time to visualize myself responding with wisdom, perspective, and tranquil resolve, instead of automatically reacting from emotion and old ingrained patterns. This disrupts the previous script. To progressively build courage and face my fears, I've gradually put myself in triggering situations around others casually smoking. With practice and small exposures, these environments became far easier to withstand skillfully. I frame any relapses or setbacks not as total failure, but as valuable opportunities to reflect, learn, and try implementing a new strategy. Each experience brings progress if I stay open. I'm careful not to villainize or beat myself up when struggling or stumbling. This journey requires enormous patience and compassion for our shared human frailty. There is no perfect path, only progress. I maintain focus on living fully in the present moment, not obsessing over being smoke-free forever. Forever is overwhelming. All I have power over is today, one day at a time. I celebrate incremental mini milestones, like making it through a weekend, social gathering, or entire week smokeless. Tallying these small wins fuels motivation for bigger ones. I remind myself regularly why I'm doing this. My vision of freedom from addiction and fully reclaiming health and wholeness. Purpose fuels perseverance. Consciously carving out time for restorative activities like being in nature, meditating, and exercise helps alleviate stress and anxiety in healthy ways, replacing destructive habits. I stay watchful, knowing old triggers and patterns could resurface anytime, but with mindful vigilance and moral purpose, I feel empowered and determined to tenaciously walk this path as far as needed. Taking the time to intentionally orient myself toward virtue, excellence, and service has enabled me to quit in a sustainable way sheer willpower never could. By tapping into something bigger than myself, anything feels possible. I hope you find something meaningful in sharing my experience that inspires your own Stoic journey to overcome and grow. We all stumble, we all struggle as we reach for our highest selves. What matters most is having the courage to get back up and try again. Let's talk openly about taking a rational approach to evaluate our smoking habits. As an ex-smoker, the Stoics taught me to question my actions based on wisdom and virtue, instead of just acting from emotion. The Stoics were all about logic and reason instead of impulsiveness. Applying that mindset can help us objectively examine addictions. Here are some ways I've used Stoic teachings to assess smoking rationally. I step back and look at evidence of smoking's effects on my physical health, finances, relationships. Does it truly serve me long term? I notice how habits are often mindless at first. Smoking became a routine coping mechanism without deliberation. It helps to bring intentionality. I reflect on my goals and values. Does this addiction align with the person I aspire to become? Or does it conflict with being my best self? I consider what virtues I hope to exemplify. Is smoking reflective of wisdom, courage, moderation, and self-control? Or the opposite? I question whether smoking arises from reason and logic or emotional impulses like stress. Cravings often fade when I sit with them mindfully. I imagine how I could redirect the time and money spent on this habit towards more meaningful and uplifting ends. I visualize myself as a role model for others struggling with addiction. How would I advise them? Applying that wisdom to myself is powerful. Taking time to really examine smoking through a Stoic lens of reason has reaffirmed my desire to quit. I feel empowered by aligning actions with my values. I hope you find the same clarity. My friends, our habits create our lives. We get to choose them wisely. I want to have an honest talk about learning to accept and even embrace the inevitable discomfort involved in quitting smoking as we unlearn ingrained habits. As an ex-smoker, I tried to avoid struggle, but adopting the Stoic mindset taught me to lean into adversity with courage on the path to growth. The Stoic philosophers saw hardship as unavoidable when striving to improve ourselves. By welcoming difficulty, we develop resilience. This applies powerfully to overcoming addiction. Here are 10 ways I've used Stoic teachings to accept temporary discomfort and persist as a non-smoker. I expect cravings and challenges as a natural part of the process. Change of any kind involves growing pains, but enduring them builds strength. I reframe urges to smoke as helpful signals to observe without reacting. Sitting with discomfort mindfully diffuses its power over me. When frustration arises, I pause to recall my vision, reclaiming wholeness. This purpose matters more than momentary unease. Eyes on the prize. I tap into courage by facing triggers that once controlled me, like being around smokers. Feeling at ease in discomfort builds confidence. I avoid dramatizing struggles as unbearable. It's just an obstacle requiring creative solutions. All I need is progress, not perfection. I spend time in nature and meditate when stressed. Inner tranquility empowers me to surf urges like waves that pass. I remember all suffering is temporary. Even intense cravings will subside. This too shall pass. I visualize my mentors like Marcus Aurelius, who endured chronic pain, yet persevered with stoicism. If he could do that, I can get through this. I focus on living in alignment with my values right now, rather than obsessing about being quit forever. Forever is overwhelming. All I have is today. I reflect on how overcoming addiction requires patience and self-compassion. I celebrate small victories and don't judge setbacks. Progress takes time. Embracing Stoic techniques to lean into discomfort has empowered me to persist as an ex-smoker when I used to just give in to cravings. I hope these strategies bring you the same freedom. We can do hard things, my friends, and we can do them together. If you're trying to quit smoking, cravings can seem overpowering. As an ex-smoker, I know that struggle all too well. But adopting the Stoic mindset has shown me how to relate to urges calmly and without losing control. The Stoics were all about maintaining emotional equilibrium and clear thinking, even amidst difficulty. Applying their teachings helps us stay steady when cravings hit. Here are 10 strategies I've learned. When a craving arises, pause and breathe consciously without reacting right away. Creating space helps me respond mindfully. I tell myself this urge will pass like a wave if I ride it out. Staying present stops me from being pulled into sudden impulses. I delay and distract myself to let the intensity diminish. Go for a walk, call a friend, work on a hobby. Time diffuses cravings. I reflect on my core values and bigger why. What matters more, momentary relief or long-term freedom? Through self-mastery, this grounds me. I speak to myself compassionately, as I would a good friend. Beating myself up perpetuates the addiction cycle. I visualize getting through this challenge with courage, knowing I have overcome many before. Tapping into my resilience gives strength. If I slip up, I avoid catastrophic thinking. One cigarette does not erase all progress. I can continue on the path. I focus on what I can control, my choices now. I let go of past mistakes or worrying about the future. The present moment is all I have. I immerse myself in positive distractions like learning new skills, sports, spending time in nature. Idle hands make habits recur. I lean on my support system to help me ride out intense urges without shame. Community makes overcoming addiction achievable. Mastering these Stoic mindset shifts empowers me to relate to cravings with tranquility. I know I have the inner wisdom to move through them skillfully. I hope cultivating equanimity guides you too through the ebbs and flows of quitting smoking. We can do this one breath at a time. I want to talk about the deep power of self-reflection in overcoming addiction. As an ex-smoker, looking within helped reveal my underlying motivations. Stoic, guided inquiry led me to healthier alternatives. The Stoics believed rigorous self-examination was essential for growth. Their principles of introspection can illuminate why we smoke and guide our progress. Here are some reflective questions and shifts that empowered my journey. What emotional needs is smoking filling? Does it help me cope with stress, anger, boredom, or loneliness? Identifying this allows me to find healthy substitutions. How did I pick up this habit in the first place? Was I seeking connection, rebellion, or numbing pain? Recognizing root causes helps prevent relapse. Do I smoke to manage anxiety? Reflecting on my thought patterns when cravings hit reveals triggering fears I can then question. Am I using cigarettes as a crutch for underlying issues I avoid facing? Contemplation forces me to courageously confront matters requiring change. What virtues do I want to embody instead, like self-mastery, moderation, or honesty? Envisioning my ideal self motivates growth. How can I redirect time and money spent on smoking towards more life-giving ends? Self-reflection uncovers possibilities for living purposefully. If I relapse, what can I learn? Which trigger or coping skill failed? Adjusting my plan prevents repeated mistakes. Have I forgiven myself for past addictive patterns? Self-judgment fuels shame and perpetuates smoking. Compassion empowers change. Can I see my struggles as universal? Addiction is part of the shared human experience. I'm not alone in overcoming it. How does quitting align with my vision for who I want to become? Clarifying values and purpose sustains motivation when it wavers. Committing to honest self-examination gave me the insight to break free in a lasting way. I hope it empowers your journey too. Healing begins from within. Wishing you clarity, compassion, and the courage to grow through reflection. I wanted to have an open and honest talk today about my journey to quit smoking cigarettes. It's been a long road, but adopting a Stoic mindset has finally helped me kick the habit for good by reframing my motivation around virtues like physical health and strength of will. I started smoking as a teenager because I thought it seemed cool and mature. But over the last decade, I found myself increasingly disgusted with being controlled by an expensive addiction that was clearly harming my body and self-esteem. Still, every time I tried to quit in the past, I failed within weeks, always making excuses to go back. I didn't have a strong enough purpose to overcome the withdrawal pangs and lifestyle habits. But recently, learning about Stoic philosophy gave me the paradigm shift I needed. The Stoics were all about pursuing excellence and self-mastery. They would be appalled at knowingly degrading one's health and mind. I realized I needed to get serious about living virtuously if I wanted any self-respect. So I made the firm decision to quit smoking once and for all to align with my values of growth, self-care, and honor. Here are some of the key Stoic mindset shifts that have helped me persevere through the challenges of quitting. First, every time I get a craving, I pause to visualize in detail the long-term health consequences like lung cancer, heart disease, impotence, and premature aging if I keep smoking. Protecting my health is too important. Second, I remember that by continuing to smoke, I'm letting an external substance control my choices rather than exhibiting the courage and inner strength to take charge. My willpower can conquer this. Third, I focus on all the areas that quitting will positively impact: more energy, financial savings, feeling proud of overcoming an addiction, setting a good example for others in my life. There are so many benefits to gain. Fourth, I see urges not as unbearable torture, but simply sensations arising and passing like waves if I just observe them mindfully without giving in. Discomfort is temporary, but virtue endures. Fifth, when I notice myself getting irritated or impatient, I pause to consider how giving in would betray my principles of discipline and wisdom that I'm trying to live by. Character matters more than comfort. Sixth, I celebrate and track each small win like getting through a day without smoking. Progress builds momentum. Every victory strengthens my self-efficacy. Seventh, I avoid scenarios that trigger cravings like drinking or being around other smokers until I have the strength to resist. Setting myself up for success is key. Eighth, I keep a journal where I log my inspiring reasons for quitting smoking to read whenever I feel my commitment wavering. My values anchor me. Ninth, I focus on all the places the time and money I save can be redirected, like fitness, guitar lessons, taking my kids on vacation. Purpose sustains perseverance. And 10th, I remind myself it's never too late to change. My past does not have to define my future. Growth and redemption are always possible if I take it day by day. In summary, using Stoic teachings to reframe quitting smoking as an opportunity to improve my physical and mental strength has been game-changing. Virtue is the ultimate prize. We all stumble sometimes, but the path ahead matters most.